All right, today is May the 5th. I'm Chris Harvey, and it's Mother's Day. So we have some questions to answer today. So I have a PowerPoint to help me, and I'm preaching to myself this morning. If you want to listen in and learn, please do so. It's helped me. All right, so the question or topic for today, it's difficult to see, but I can read it to you, is, am I the son or daughter that I would like to raise? Does that make sense? Am I the child that I would like to raise? What does that look like? A couple facts about Mother's Day to start off with. Where did it come from? This is a question I raised for myself. Who came up with Mother's Day? I think it's a great idea. A lady by the name of Anne Jarvis in 1907 brought the day about to honor her mother. Her mother played such a role in her life and impacted it so much, she wanted a day dedicated to her mother. Thus, Mother's Day was created. Fun fact about Anne, she was not a mother at the time. So it was not to honor herself. Her sole purpose of this day was to honor her mother. Greeting cards, gross sales. What's the number one? Christmas. Very good. What's number two? Well, not quite. Valentine's Day. Very good. Third, I heard Mother's Day. Father's Day is next. Anyone guess the fifth? No. Oddly enough, it's Easter. Easter is the fifth. You would think it's a coincidence that Mother's Day is ahead of Father's Day. It's not, and we'll explain why. In Ephesians 6:2, it says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise." What's the promise? That it may go well with you, and you may have long life on the earth. Is this a commandment or a request? It's a commandment. It's something we do. Somebody tells you to do something as a commandment. Your boss tells you, go do this. You better go do it. Could be consequences, right? Could be. We have a promise with this, that it may go well with you. And I'm here to say, it will go badly, from experience. So we got to turn that ship around, right? So it says to honor your father and mother. How do we honor our mother? Well, one of the ways you can honor your mother is, hold on. It's thinking. It doesn't like this slide very much. So what's happened in this PowerPoint is I have different font on my slides, which didn't translate to this. But that's okay. It converted it for me. So, love unconditionally as she does. That means without conditions. It's not, I love you if you do this, I love you when you do this. No, I love you no matter what. You listen attentively. Boys, this is difficult for us. You ever hear your significant other say, well, I told you such and such, and you're like, well, I don't remember any of that. Right? So this is difficult for us, but we can do it. Because that's part of honoring your mother. You love her and you listen. And you lay your life down as she does. So that means you pick up the phone, you call, even when you don't want to. Right? Or when your mother calls you, you stop what you're doing to answer her. You understand sympathetically. By this I mean, your mother's role is a very dynamic role. It's not static. This changes over time, right? Your mother starts off changing your diapers. Well, that doesn't happen your whole life, I hope. right? She's the cook. She cleans. My mom went to school at night, worked during the day, took care of her kids, did a very good job. You wear a bunch of hats as a mother. Some hats that we as gentlemen cannot always wear. But I'm a decent cook.
Sure.
And we talked about being dynamic. Does your mother know that you love her? Just a question.
She knew.
Why do you do that? So you Google the definition of love. And it says love is a noun. It's an intense feeling of deep affection. Right below that it says, babies fill their parents with feelings of love. So, your mother loves you so much that she will do anything for you. Change your diapers. Cook for you, clean for you, even though you're an able body who can do that yourself. Right? I'm talking to myself. Stick with me. It all makes sense. Our mom's role is dynamic. It changes over time. My mom helps me fold towels. Let me explain. My job as a sales rep is I sell fancy paper towels, for lack of better term. These fancy paper towels are used in aerospace, automotive, industrial, all kinds of different places, okay? That's not the point. The point is I have big projects where I need wipes folded, mine versus the alternative. And then we put these together in binders. Right now, Mom, we're doing 50 binders, and we're shipping them up to Canada, okay? It's a lot of work. But I appreciate my mom doing this for me. And guess what? My customers appreciate it. And they show their love for me knowing that I love my mother. And she loves me enough to do it. She could say, no, I'm not folding wipes. Right? But we keep it interesting.
Well, she gets lunch.
She gets lunch. There's a story in 2 Kings chapter 4. We spent some time in Kings a few weeks ago, if you don't remember. Just a little reminder is about filling the oil jars. But it goes on to talk about how a child was grown, and it fell on a day when he went out to his father, to the reapers, to go pull in the harvest. Okay? And he said to his father, my head, my head. And, he said to his father, my head, my head. He was complaining that his head hurt to his dad, who he was working with in the field. And the dad said, take him to his mother. Interesting. He didn't say, let me help you. What's wrong? How can we fix this? He said, go to your mother. Because your mother pays attention to detail. She wants to know what's wrong, how to fix it, what she can do to help you. Okay? The next verse, it goes on to talk about how the young boy sat on his mother's knees until noon and then died. I bet you the father would have acted differently if he knew that. So, this comes down to detail. Your mother loves you. She wants to know what's going on with you, right? We talked a few slides ago how you want to return the favor. You pay attention to her. You make sure that her needs are met. And this is where we come in as kids. So a story about Amanda. My Amanda. She pays very close attention to detail. She spends a lot of times in doctor's offices. She spends a lot of times reviewing blood work, reviewing tests. And most of the time when she sits down, she can tell the doctor, this is what's going on, this level's elevated this much, and I think this is the problem. 9 times out of 10, she's right. That's how much attention to detail she has. The slightest elevation can show you the problem. And the issue with doctors is, most of them are men. They don't pay attention to detail. How can I get this person out of here? Quickly. Dad, put a Band-Aid on it. In construction, rub some dirt on the wound. Get back to work. You're all right. I'm speaking to myself. Walk it off. Heard that before too, right? Grow up. But this is where mother's love comes in. She wants you to be okay. She wants to make sure that every need is met because she wants you to feel good. She wants you to feel better. Our role as kids is to make sure that her needs are met. I'm reiterating, talking to myself. Another interesting quote, when you're old enough to have the answers, nobody asks you any questions. Right? I'm me. There's no way that they know as much as me. Times have changed. Things are different. They can't be right. Times might have changed, but I'll tell you something. Wisdom comes with experience, and experience comes with age.
Come on. It's true.
A little side note, my mom raised 3 kids. She's got a lot of experience. Another way you can honor your mother is you help with gratitude. You don't treat it as a burden. I don't want to go out of my way to help my mom to the doctor's office. I don't want to go out of my way to help her down the stairs or bring her something to eat or make her lunch while she's helping me fold towels. You make sure that you do it with joy. You may not feel like it, but it's time to step up and make sure that her needs are met. Because guess what? She probably didn't want to help you. She didn't want to change your diaper. But guess what? Google says she loves unconditionally. And you know what? Have you ever received help from somebody who doesn't want to help you? Show of hands. Anybody? How's that feel? Not very good. You don't want to ask that person for help again. Right? Well, what if that's the only person that can help you? Are you still going to not ask them? Maybe. So it's the little things that mean the most. We have a picture of somebody learning to ride a bike for the first time. They need help sometimes. Just a little bit, and then they can take care of themselves. That's us as kids. Sometimes our parents are like that. Sometimes they just need a little bit of help. How do you turn the Wi-Fi on my phone? You might have to tell them 80 times, but that's okay. How much time does that take you? Not very long. You're so used to doing it. You can connect to the Wi-Fi. Right? You still listening?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone heard a story about Peter Richley? Somebody recapped his story called The Mother's Prayer. Anybody heard of this? 1802, Peter Richley was on a boat, a ship, more appropriate for the time, on his way to Australia. Okay? That's where he lived. The issue was, the first ship sank. He's the only survivor, floating in water. Right? Luckily, a second ship comes. What are the odds of that? He gets aboard, keeps going to Australia. Guess what? The font's wrong. The second ship sank. Now he's floating in the water. A third ship comes by. Anyone tell me what happened?
Sank.
It sank. The third ship sank. Luckily, again, a fourth ship. What are the odds of this? We've all seen Titanic, right? Very, very unlikely for this to happen twice. A third time. We're on number 4.
They shouldn't pick him up.
That's what I'm saying. Something wrong with this guy. He's sinking the boat. We don't know how he's doing it, but we're not picking him up. Guess what happened on the 4th ship? It sank. See what's happening here? So a 5th ship came by the grace of God, and said, let's pick you up. Pull him on board. The 5th ship sank. It sank. 5 ships, 1 guy. Very, 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 very unlikely. So he climbs aboard the 6th ship. Guess what happens to the 6th ship? It doesn't sink, actually. So on this last ship on his way to Australia, the crew, the captain, comes to Peter and says, you know what, Peter, I'm asking you for a favor. Can you help me? Peter says, absolutely. I'll do anything to help you. You saved my life. And the captain talks about an elderly woman who is below deck, very, very ill, coming in and out of consciousness, talking, getting ready to die. And she keeps saying, Lord, let me see my son before I die. So the captain says, Peter, she's out of it, but we love her. The whole crew has come to know her as a mother. And can you pretend to be her son before she dies? So Peter agrees to it. He said, I'll absolutely do that. Peter goes below deck and talks to the woman. He sees the woman slipping in and out of consciousness, praying, Lord, let me see my son before I die. Oh, excuse me. The quote is, please God, let me see my son before I die. Peter walks down below deck, comes to this woman, and bursts into tears. The woman on board was Sarah Richley, traveling to see her son in Australia.
Oh my gosh.
One more time. A mother's prayer kept Peter alive from a sinking ship once, a second ship twice, third ship, fourth ship, and a fifth ship.
Amen. That's all I can say.
So you should have learned which ship to get on in the first place.
Sometimes it takes repeat after repeat.
That's amazing.
The title of this story, and this is based on a true story too, it's called A Mother's Prayer. You can go home and look it up. Further explains a mother's role is dynamic. She may not be able to cook for you anymore. She may not be able to, do all the things that she used to do, but your mother can pray. And how often do we go to mom for advice over dad? It's because she listens attentively. She loves us unconditionally. Our fathers do the same, but it's not the same type of love. It's an in and out listening kind of love. It's a walk it off kind of love, which in retrospect is still a very good type of love. It makes you strong as a man, does it not? But it's a different kind of love for their mothers. And a mother's prayer can keep you alive. So, am I the type of son or daughter I would like to raise? Can my prayers keep my mother alive? Sorry about the font, but how precious is my time? My time's precious. Your time's precious. But your time spent with me is more value than my time. I don't want to pick the phone up. I don't want to, reach out and say hello all the time. But it's important that we love because time is limited. And lastly, I'm going to end it with this. Am I the son or daughter that I would like to raise? It's a question, if you could take one thing home from this morning, it's that. You're up.
Thanks very much, Chris, for that word. It was a good word.
Thank you.